Hey guys, welcome to the video on Come On In. I'd like to talk about copyrights in this video, and I'm not going to pretend to know everything there is about copyrights, the ins and outs and all the details of them. And I think a copyright is something that you definitely ought to have in a lot of situations. If you're going to be distributing a lot of your personal material or created music or songs or compositions or selling things, I think it's a situation to where it's important that you do own your copyright or that you even sell your copyrights. And there's basically two types of it, just to cover all this very briefly. There's the SR form for sound recordings. So if you were to record your music on a CD or in your make an MP3, you can copyright the recording of that, and that might be something that commonly you hear that the record companies own that, where the artist would own the actual copyright for the composition, and that's a different type of copyright. And you can go ahead and combine copyrights to save the cost on that. Currently, I believe the cost is $35 for a copyright. It's easy to do it online. But like I say, if you're getting serious or you're getting to the point to where it's very important that you do have a copyright, you're actively selling your music and selling it in a decent quantity, you may consider actually having a lawyer, a copyright lawyer, or music lawyer, just review and make sure that everything is done correctly. Although this is something that can very easily be done by yourself. I recommend doing this online as well. Now, technically, as soon as something is created or in what they call a tangible form, that copyright exists. It's basically exists instantly from that date. But if you're in a situation, say in a court of law, or you need to enforce that you're the owner of a copyright, it's important that you register and actually go through the motions of doing the copyright. Otherwise, if you do some of these things where people say, well, I'm going to mail myself a CD and do it certified mail, or the common thing is I'm going to put it up on YouTube where something is actually time dated, that apparently that really doesn't hold up in the court of law. I have no personal experience with that because I've never had to go that far with enforcing a copyright. And so for the low cost of what I believe is currently $35, you can copyright an individual song, or you can copyright, like I say, the sound recording, which can be 10 songs, or you can do things in bulk. So actually the cost of a copyright isn't that expensive unless you're starting to copyright individual songs. I think there's a lot of situations to where musicians really should go ahead and copyright, like I've stated before. If you're making a CD and are serious about it, and you think that your music will be distributed widely, and there's the chance that somebody might take your CD and or your music or your beats or whatever you're doing and use them for their own purpose, then the copyright should come in handy. Now, let me talk about actually the reasons why I think it's a waste of time for a copyright. And I think a lot of people get a copyright because I think it, for lack of better words, it's just kind of a prideful thing. I've seen a lot of situations to where, young kids, and I'm talking 14, 15-year-old kids, and believe I've seen some great musicians at that age, but somebody just takes a guitar and strums a G, D, and an A and a couple of chords and comes up with some lyrics and does a country song, and they think that this is their parents tell them that their kid is super talented, and a couple of friends tell them that they're great, so they think, well, I better copyright this because I've got something special. Quite frankly, I think you're wasting your $35 to go ahead and copyright that song, and because mainly the problem with musicians nowadays, it isn't piracy. Quite frankly, nobody's going to pirate that song or steal it out of your bedroom. But the problem nowadays with musicians is getting exposure. And so I almost might call it a blessing if somebody were to take your bedroom song and go ahead and spread it around and use it on the internet or whatever. But I really don't see that that's happening. I think there's a lot of situations where people might make, say, a couple hundred CDs, and they're going to use them for demo purposes. They might even be original songs, and they're going to go ahead and give them to owners of establishments where they might get gigs at and use them for a demo. And unless you're extremely proud of this work, I think copywriting something like that is a waste of time too. But then again, like I say, the cost of copywriting is pretty, in the total scope of things. If you're paying some money for recording, the cost of copywriting in ratio really isn't that much. But I'm just trying to explain that I think there are some situations to where copywriting your songs, like I say, if you're just a bedroom musician and you think you've got something great, and don't waste your money in copyright and pat yourself on the back and say, oh, my stuff's copyrighted. Well, big deal. Basically I would say, oh, I've got 1,000 CDs and they sold in a couple of months or less. But these are just my opinions. Like I say, I'm not an expert on copyright law or anything like that. It's easy to find out a lot of the details, and like I say, you can do it on your own. But when you start getting serious and you're selling what I'd say serious in the tens of thousands of CDs, then I think it's worth having somebody that really knows what they're doing and making sure that you've done it correctly and have all bases covered. That's it. Just a short little soapbox. If you're 10 years old and you play guitar, don't copyright your music. If you've got a serious band and you're selling CDs like pancakes at your gigs, get it copyrighted. Easy peasy, right? Okay, we'll see you in the next video.